only doing cassette number 1. Both of these have the same print date. Stock number 101. 44th week of 1998.
My first experience with The Godfather was I had just opened up the New York Times looking through the book review, and I noticed an ad for a book called The Godfather by Mario Puzo with this little logo of the puppeteer on it. And I thought to myself, this must be some interesting Italian author, very intellectual, kind of a study of power.
When I was writing the book, what I read was books about the old Sicilian mafia. It's really more about them. And I just sat down writing it, and in the process discovered the word Godfather.
Be my friend.
Which was never used by criminals before.
Godfather.
It's really a novel about family. It's not a novel about crime. You don't really get any of the specifics of crime in The Godfather. It's like sort of a reference.
I could be doing a lot with the family. We don't discuss this at the table.
Was the family troubles are very paramount.
You spend time with your family?
Sure I do.
Good. Because a man who doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man.
I felt that the movie should be authentic to that part of the book that dealt with the father and the 3 sons. I looked at it as the story of a king with 3 sons.
I have a sentimental weakness for my children, and I spoil them, as you can see. They talk when they should listen.
Francis Coppola called me, and I had read the book. He called me and said that he had gotten the assignment to direct it, which was a shock to me because he at the time was an unknown director.
They wanted to make it at a very inexpensive budget, which is probably why I was hired. I was young. I had 2 children and a baby on the way. I didn't have any money really. So I was swept along by the studio basically wanting to make this film.
I read in the paper that Danny Thomas was going to buy Paramount so he could play The Godfather. So that got me scared. And I wrote to Brando. I got his address off a friend of his that worked for my agent. And I was very surprised when I got a phone call from him. He admitted he had not read the book. He says, wait until the director comes on in the picture, and then you can ask me. And then Francis came on the picture.
So then I made contact with Brando, and I'd never worked with him, of course. So I made arrangement to go to his house, and I got a few friends of mine. I said, we're going to go to Brando's house, and we're going to shoot a little 16mm screen test. You know, he began to take Kleenex and put it in his mouth, and he kept saying, shove the face of a bulldog, you know. And then he said, well, in the story, he gets shot in the throat. So I think, you should talk, you know, like it never quite, you know, never healed, you know.
I think you should tell your Don what everyone seems to know.
And I was about to come up and wake you just now and tell you.
She needed a drink first. And now you've had your drink.
Things fell into place, and ultimately they made a deal, and Marlon Brando was cast in the part.
How's your boy?
He's good.
You know, he looks more like you every day.
They had suggested either Robert Redford or Ryan O'Neal for the role of Michael Corleone. And, of course, I said, well, gee, it doesn't seem very Italian to me. He said, well, many Italians are blondes. And I said, well, that's true, and it is true. But I thought that you should really see the mark of Sicily on the face of the character who plays Michael Corleone. So I suggested Al Pacino, who was then totally really unknown.
But if Clemenza can figure a way to have a weapon planted there for him, then I'll kill them both.
I knew that they did not want Pacino, and in fact, he had taken a role in another another picture.
But Francis was insistent. Secretly, too, I didn't think that I was right for the part either. So my enthusiasm was mixed. It was like I was excited because it was such a big project, but the reality of doing that role in the picture was scary.
Action.
They would test with that opening scene. All the actors would play that opening scene at the table.
Michael, why are these people bothering your father on a day like this?
Oh, that's because they know that no Sicilian can refuse any request on his daughter's wedding day.
Oh, good. I have a request.
Diane, of course, with the role of Kay, I really enjoyed being with her. I had the most fun with her, and she believed very much in the movie. And I thought played the role beautifully.
You don't want me to marry you. Oh, that's very clever, but...
They asked me to do screen tests of everybody, and so I tested absolutely every young actor for those parts.
Now, I really am the sister of the director, and I say, for real, gee, Francis, can I have an audition? And he said no, because the last thing you need, you know, with the politics of making a movie is your sister, when your own job is constantly in jeopardy. It was Mario who said, let her have a chance, Francis.
You know who that was on the phone? Your girlfriend! She couldn't make it tonight, you know? What do you mean, what's for dinner?
And so at the end, they looked at all these tests, and they didn't like anyone.
But they saw 8 minutes of a movie I did called Panic and Needle Park that I had done before. It hadn't been released yet. And it was seeing that 8 minutes. For some reason, it got them to say yes to me.
Nice college boy, huh? Didn't want to get mixed up in the family business, and now you want to gun down a police captain, what, because he slapped you in the face a little bit? Huh? What do you think, this is the army where you shoot him a mile away? You gotta get up close like this, bing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
I then had to do the movie, and I know that early on in the picture, they were considering letting me go. It was a question of how was I going to make this character believable and the evolution that I think was necessary for the part. It was really the Solezzo scene in the restaurant, I think, that kept my job, really. It seems as though that in that scene something happened that made them think, well, they'll keep me.
Obviously, The Godfather had several scenes of violence in it. The killing of Sonny was very much inspired by Arthur Penn's work in Bonnie and Clyde, that had that extraordinary death of Bonnie and Clyde. And I felt that Sonny was such a strong character who, like Rasputin, nothing would stop him. I just thought they would not take any chance to leave him alive. The horse's head sequence, of course, was a very, very famous sequence and very controversial. People were more outraged by the fact that there was a horse's head than, you know, there got to be 36 people brutally murdered in that movie. We were always under trouble because, you know, outside you lose the light. And there was this scene with Brando's death that they didn't want me to shoot. They figured we could just learn that Brando's character, Don Corleone, had died at the funeral. And we had to go to lunch. We were losing the light. So Brando said, I have a little game I sometimes play with kids. So I set up 2 cameras and we did it, and Brando cut the orange and he put it in his mouth and he scared the little boy. The little boy really got scared. Moral of the story is that scene came that close to never being shot.
It was like a great combination, the family story and the crime story. And also, you know, I made them out to be good guys, you know, pretty good guys. Except I committed murder once in a while, you know.
It is the most dominant of all the characters I've played by far. And I guess if I'm remembered at all, it would probably be this character.
I think sometimes you had great actors wonderful story based on a wonderful book. And in the end, you know, no one knows really anything about what's a good movie or a bad movie unless it earns the test of time. That's how we know what's great.
We're pleased to bring you our feature presentation.